Hi, I'm Katy. Thanks for joining me today on the ESL path. On this part of the trail, I'd like to introduce you to one of my favorite grammar topics, adjective clauses. So, what is an adjective clause? It also has another name, relative clause. But I prefer adjective clause because this term describes what it does. What do I mean? Well, let's look at the first part. An adjective is a word that describes a noun. For instance, let's take the noun bird. Imagine that I see a bird on our path. If I say, I see a bird, what do you imagine? There are many possibilities, right? It would be better if I described the bird. I can do that by adding adjectives. If I add the adjectives friendly, talkative, and red to my sentence, you will have a much clearer picture of the bird. Okay, now let's move on to the second word in adjective clause. A clause is a grammatical unit that contains a subject and a verb. All sentences contain at least one clause. Some sentences contain more than one clause. Now, how do the terms adjective and clause work together? Oh, hey, look, there's the sea and some boats ahead on our path. This will help explain. Imagine that we can take a ride in one of these boats. Which one should we choose? One of them is surrounded by dangerous sharks. Another has a hole in it. But the last looks fine, and there are even some cute and friendly penguins traveling near it. I think the choice is pretty obvious. Well, because these boats are all different colors, it's possible to describe the boat that we prefer with a single adjective. We can say, we choose the purple boat. What if, however, all of the boats were purple? Using the single adjective no longer works. Luckily, though, there are other ways to describe the boats. These descriptions are more complex and contain subjects and verbs. Therefore, we need to use adjective clauses. We can say, we're not getting in the boat that's surrounded by sharks, or the boat that has a hole in it. We choose the boat that has penguins near it. Notice the placement of these adjective clauses. While adjectives go before the noun that they describe, the adjective clauses go after the noun that they describe. Got it? Let's see. Here's a practice activity. Your goal is to find the adjective clause in each of these sentences. Take as long as you need by pressing pause, and then play again when you're ready to see the answers. Okay? So press pause now. Here are the answers. In the first sentence, we're using an adjective clause to describe the noun cat. We're talking about the one lying on the bench. In the next sentence, again we're identifying a cat. This time, it's the one that is more energetic. The third sentence describes the cat's eyes. And finally, the last sentence gives more detail about the flower petal. Did you find it? It's below the cat's tail. You'll notice in these examples that the adjective clause can describe both the subject nouns and object nouns. In sentences number 1 and number 4, they describe subject nouns. And in number 2 and number 3, they describe object nouns. Well, let's say goodbye to these cats and move on now to a relaxing courtyard for one last practice. This time, only one of the sentences contains an adjective clause. Can you find it? You can hit pause again to take your time thinking about it. So which did you choose? It's not the first sentence. The first sentence contains the adjective narrow to describe the noun walkway, but it's a single word and not a clause containing a subject and verb. It's not the second sentence either. This sentence does contain 3 clauses. Look at those subject and verb pairs. But none of them are acting like adjectives. None of these clauses describe a noun. That leaves the third sentence. And yes, in addition to the adjective yellow, which describes the dress, the adjective clause, that are swimming near the edge of the pool, describes the ducks. Well, that brings us to the end of the trail for today. I hope this helped you get a general understanding of adjective clauses. This was just an introduction. There's much more to know. For example, how do we use relative pronouns? Words like that, who, and which in adjective clauses. How can we combine 2 sentences into one sentence with an adjective clause? Or why do some adjective clauses have commas? So please stay tuned for more videos on adjective clauses, as well as other topics. It was great seeing you on the path today, and see you again soon.